I'll start. What's going on, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Double S NFL podcast. Happy New Year to all. I hope you had a restful last few weeks, and we're back in the new year with the first episode here of 2022. This episode, we're going to do a couple tier lists. One, rating teams' futures, and two, we're going to do NFL head coaches. And first, we're going to start off with Sam and I. We're going to go each. We're going to rank every QB that started the most of their team's games this season, 32-1. And without further ado, why don't we start off with that? Sam, why don't you get started with the worst starting QB in the NFL?
Sam Darnold. He blows. That's all the reason I need.
At 32, I also have Sam Darnold. He was, in case you didn't know, he was with the Jets for the last 3 years. I kind of gave up on him as a Jet fan mid-2020, early 2020 even, and Panthers fans were saying, oh, behind a competent coach, he's not competent at this point, Matt Rule, but he would be better, but he's been downright atrocious. 2 touchdowns, I think like 12 turnovers in his last 5 starts, a stat like that. He's going to be career backup, and we should all know that his defenders are pretty much out the window now. Number 31, pretty easy choice here too. Jaguars rookie quarterback Trevor Lawrence, also known as T-Law. I feel bad for him, honestly. His top receiver right now is Laquan Treadwell, but he's been abysmal to say the least. Like with such high expectations, like while he is a rookie, he's been very, very disappointing. So that's why he comes in at 31.
I'm going to go with Trevor Lawrence is my number 31 as well. He sucks. I don't know if that's because of him or a shitty offensive line or a shitty
I think it's
coaches.
both, honestly.
Their interim head coach is the guy who passed the ball on the 1 yard line. Keep that in mind.
Darrell Bevell. Anything's an upgrade over Urban Meyer, though. So
True.
We'll say that.
Number 30 for me is Zach Wilson. Nothing bad from him personally. It's just he's a rookie and he's not great as a rookie. I think he'll be better next year. I think he'll move up to around 20. But this year was not his year. He did show some flashes of brilliance, especially last week against Tampa Bay.
Could you see him in like the 15 to 18 range next year?
Possibly.
Things go right. All right. My number 30 is Taysom Hill from the New Orleans Saints. To put it downright, he's a great runner, a downright awful passer. As you probably saw in the Cowboys game, he threw 4 interceptions that were all his fault, in my opinion. He just isn't accurate with the ball at all. He has no sense of pressure. While he can escape well at times, and he is pretty fast and mobile. That's like he's more of a gadget player, in my opinion. And he shouldn't really be used as a quarterback from now on. All right, my number 29, kicking off. We have another rookie here, Justin Fields from the Chicago Bears. I'm a fan of his. I was a fan of him coming out of Ohio State, but he needs to work on a lot of things to be successful in this league. He struggled with accuracy at times, decision making. The deep balls there. It's one of the prettiest deep balls I've seen. It kind of reminds me of like a prime Cam Newton deep ball. He looks great on the deep ball or even intermediate accuracy at times, but a lot of it still needs work. And until then, I'm going to have him here at 29.
I have Daniel Jones at 29. Yeah, he's bad. But he's not as bad as Mike Lennon and Jake Fromm. So, and I think that Taysom Hill is better than Daniel Jones at this point in his career. Daniel Jones struggles with decision making. I feel like he rolls with his first read too often.
I think he's gotten better this year, but still, he's been bad.
I'd give him one more year with a better offensive
I would
coach.
too.
But I'd chuck the current coach into the street and hopefully he gets run over in that street.
Yeah, we'll talk about it actually later in this pod. But Joe Judge, there reports John Mara is going to bring him back, and I just don't get the decision whatsoever. Anyways,
I think John Mara wants me to die. I can't exactly confirm that.
anyways, the head coaching carousel isn't great this offseason, so maybe just go like 116 next year and see what's up from there.
My number 28 is Justin Fields. He showed some flashes similar to Wilson, but I don't feel like he's ready to be an NFL quarterback right now. But I feel like he's more NFL ready than Wilson right now.
Why do you feel that way?
I feel like he's better at making the throws. I feel like he's better improvising and making plays.
Post injury, Zach Wilson, I think he's been a top 2022 QB.
Who's your number 28?
My number 28 is Baker Mayfield of the Cleveland Browns. At the end of last year, I believe I had him at 12, so it's down at least 16 spots. Hugely disappointing year in the contract here. Like, I thought he'd be a top 7 QB this year. Boy, was I wrong. So in the game last night, this is on Tuesday night against Pittsburgh. He had 3 men open: Peoples-Jones, Njoku, and I think one other. But he managed to step into pressure, even though he had 3 men wide open for a 10-15 yard gain, and he got sacked. Like, those plays, I know he's been hurt, and Sam always loves to bring up that point, but decision making isn't based off if you're hurt or not. It's like, take the check down even. Like, that's the worst thing to happen other than a pick. Like, Baker Mayfield is a bad quarterback right now.
My number 27 is Ben Roethlisberger. He's atrocious. That's at this point of his career. He got his one last ride game, but before that, the Kansas City game, that was rough. And the getting into the Minnesota game, the Tennessee game was a little rough. He overall has not been a good quarterback this year.
My number 27 is Ben Roethlisberger. He's been awful for the most part this year. Like, he hasn't turned the ball over a lot, but that's because he's checked down mania. Under 6.5 yards per attempt on the year. I'm gonna fact check that quickly. But I believe he's at like 6.3 or something on the year. Like if he doesn't have a man open, he'll take the sack. And they have explosive receivers too. Like, he's wasting Deontay's talent. Like, I kind of feel bad. Like, 6.2 yards per attempt. That's like, they gotta be bottom 3 in the NFL. Aside from the rookies. It hurts watching him play. My eyes hurt watching him play. Like, he had a great career, and last night was very emotional for Steelers fans and just NFL fans in general. But like, his time is up.
Agree. My number 27 for the same, or no, my number 26. We're at 26, right?
Yeah, 26.
Yeah, okay. My number 26 for the same reasons that Spencer mentioned is Taysom Hill. Yeah, he can't throw to save his life.
Yep. My number 26 is Jared Goff. If we were doing this a few weeks ago or like a month ago, he would have been 31 or 30, but he's been playing better football as of late when on the field. It may just be because Tim Boyle should be working at McDonald's, but he's been fine the last few weeks. Like, he's not a franchise guy, of course, but he'll be a great backup, and like, he's a fine bridge guy. Like, if the QB, I don't think they should draft the QB this year because of the class is pretty weak, but they'd be fine getting 5 or 6 wins with Jared Goff next year and drafting, say, CJ Stroud, or even, I don't think they'll be up there for Bryce Young, but like someone like that in 2023.
Yeah, my number 25 is Jared Goff. He's just not good. Very simple. He's not good.
Sean McVay made him look like a competent quarterback.
I don't know how he did it, but he did.
He's Sean McVay. enough said. All right. Moving on to my number 25, a guy who I had outside my top 40 this preseason, nearly at 50. Daniel Jones coming in at 25. He surprised me this year. He's been bad still, but like he's played competent at times. Like we saw in the Saints game, passing for 400 yards, leading them to a comeback. Like he's shown flashes of what he could do if he had a competent line and a competent head coach, competent coordinator at the time as well. But I don't think he's franchise guy.
Freddie
But
Kitchens isn't any better than Garrett.
I'd keep him in 2022. If he does play well and say gets over 7 wins, keep him and have him be the guy. Continue to build around him, especially on the line. Like I draft Evan Neal with their first pick this year. But if he sucks in 2022, draft the QB then. Similar situation to the Lions and Goff.
My number 24, is Javis Mills. He's been okay. Like, I don't know what more Houston can ask out of him, but Houston doesn't need a quarterback. At least not yet.
Not as of right now. I'd give him at least next year. All right. My number 24 is Zach Wilson, QB of the New York Jets. He started out the year very, very rough, especially the Patriots and Falcons game. He couldn't hit a screen throw to save his life, but he's looked a lot better the last few weeks. Like, if he keeps this up, I could see him being a top 12 QB next year. That's a long shot, it seems like, but I think it very well could happen. His decision making is improved. He's making the right reads. His mobility looks good too, and I'm very excited as a Jets fan for Zach's future.
My number 23 is
23.
Baker Mayfield. I don't feel like he's as bad as you make him out to be.
He's awesome.
He's not that good, at least not this year.
Atrocious.
He's been playing through a bunch of injuries.
He has been playing through injuries, but he hasn't proved to be the franchise guy. As the number one
He's
pick.
not.
Yep.
Therefore, he's 23.
23 for me is Washington football team quarterback Taylor Heineke, 20 touchdowns, 15 INTs on the season. We saw in the Bucs playoff game last year, and we all got a glimpse of hope, but unfortunately he's a turnover machine, and he just lacks the physical tools and the arm talent to be a capable starting QB. As I said, he was a great story. He's a very solid backup, but Washington, that's the team who should draft like a Matt Corral, Malik Willis, Carson Strong type guy in round 1 of this year's draft, because Heineke has not been it.
My number 22, coming from the Denver Broncos, is Teddy Bridgewater. I just feel like he's not good enough to be a starter, but too good to be a backup.
Same. That's how I've always felt about him, like that. Like really, really high end backup, but like not a starter.
Yeah, I think he's okay. He can definitely make good throws. He can definitely be a good game manager, but overall, I don't think he's as good as the other quarterbacks I have below him.
My number 22 is Davis Mills of the Houston Texans. I feel like even though I have the Mac Jones higher on this list, I feel like what Mills has done has been more impressive as a rookie, and that's why I have him here. He's looking better and better each week. Better and better each week, and he's making a case to be the franchise guy down in Houston. After a rough start to the year in which a game threw 4 interceptions, he's looked a lot better as split.
My number 21, coming from the Washington football team, is Taylor Heineke for the same reasons that Spencer mentioned.
My number 21, coming from the San Francisco 49ers, is Jimmy Garoppolo. He was top 17, I'd say, in 2019, but since then he hasn't been top 20, even 25. But I was a bit generous here. Other than that Titans game where he threw 2 picks and 2 drop picks too, he's been fine this year. Like, he's been exactly what that team needs, a game manager. Like, Trey Lance is their franchise guy, I think. But if they had a choice to start either one in a playoff game, I still go Jimmy. He's knowledgeable. He can get the job done. He's a bit overhated too. He's pretty accurate overall, and I have no problem starting him in a playoff game.
My number 20 is Mac Jones. He's all right. Hasn't been bad. Hasn't been that good either.
Yeah.
Who's your number 20?
My number 20 is Tua Tagovailoa from the Miami Dolphins. He could be between 18 and 24 for me, but he's inconsistent, honestly. Like in big games, he really struggles. As we saw in the Buffalo Bills game last year, 3 picks in a 56-26 loss. I think he'll be solid next year with upgraded O-line. Jesse Davis and Austin Jackson got to go now. But he's not capable of winning the big ones yet, and that kind of concerns me.
My number 19 comes from the Philadelphia Eagles. That's Jalen Hurts. I think he's been pretty good this year. He's been decent. And all these quarterbacks from 20 and from 19 and below can be considered decent to good quarterbacks.
Same with
me, at least for me.
For me, it's 18 and below, I'd say. All right.
I really like the way he's played this year.
Same here. My number 19 quarterback is Teddy Two Gloves, Teddy Bridgewater. He lacks arm talent. He lacks high-end mobility. He lacks the big play ability, but he can do all the little things. And that's why, as you said, he's a very high-end backup. I think he could be a starter on, like, if you put him on a team like the 2020 Bucks, I think they make the playoffs. But like, if you put him on a rebuilding team like Jacksonville or the Giants or Houston or the Jets, like, he'd suck there. So he's kind of like, depends where he ends up. Like, you can't ask him to do that much.
My number 18 comes from the Atlanta Falcons. That's Matt Ryan. I don't think he's been bad this year. I think that his offensive line is terrible. The Falcons don't have much of a running game. Besides just when Cordell Patterson explodes, but
Mike Davis has been extremely disappointing.
Yes. He might not have a team to come this offseason.
Who, Davis?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think he's a backup. All right, my number 18 is Jalen Hurts from the Eagles. This was a guy who I said was same with Daniel Jones, not top 45 coming in the year, but he's proved me wrong. And he's proved a lot of NFL fans wrong.
So what kind of quarterbacks would you put over?
At the time, I had like Dalton over him. I had like Trubisky over him. I had like Foles over him. I had like McCoy and stuff like that. I thought he was god awful and he couldn't be a starter, but he's proved me wrong. Accuracy still needs work. Deep ball still needs work, but his decision making has improved a ton as the year has been going on, and he's been a key part in why they're a 9-win team right now.
My number 17 comes from the San Francisco 49ers. Jimmy G. I feel like he's been all right. I feel like we've overblown one bad game too much. Spencer.
I agree. Like people are taking that Tennessee Titans game way out of proportion.
I've seen people say that Jimmy G should be benched immediately. And yeah, I don't know if you've seen what's his name, Trey Lance play, but he's incredibly raw.
Oh yeah, he's very raw. That's what when I watched film last offseason of him, I was like, I'd sit him for 2 years, honestly. Like like I would have sat him this whole year, but like it's fine he's playing now, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah. My number 17 is we're on 17, right?
yeah, we're at 7.
My number 17 is Mac Jones from the New England Patriots. He's a game manager. Like, listen, if the Patriots had someone like Zach Wilson right now, even Justin Fields, they'd be a much better team. Like, that's not to say Mac's been bad, but like he's very, very limited. Like, he hasn't had as many rookie moments as like Fields, Lawrence, and Wilson, Nils, but like he hasn't had any wow plays. Like he lacks the high end arm talent to be elite, in my opinion. He lacks the mobility. He's never going to be a bad quarterback, and his ceiling, his floor is pretty high. But I'd be optimistic as a Patriots fan going forward with him.
Yeah, my number 16 comes from the Miami Dolphins. That's Tua. Yeah, I feel like he's been decent this year. His start was pretty rough, but he's gotten better during
He was
that
kind of
7
hurt.
during that 7
He
game
was
winning
kind of
streak.
hurt early on, I feel.
Hmm?
He was hurt early on. Are you talking about like the Jacksonville game?
Yeah, like the Jacksonville game,
The Buffalo game early?
the Buffalo games.
The New England game, the first one?
I wouldn't say he was hurt in that one. I'd just say it was all right.
Yeah, he was meh. But like, if you get him a line, he'll be solid, I feel. All right. My number 16 quarterback is Matt Ryan of the Falcons. I like Matt Ryan. He's the definition of average. Definition of average. He can get the job done if you need him to, but he won't elevate your team or he won't hurt your team. He's past his prime now, and if I were Atlanta, I would look to move off him, try to trade him to a team in need of a QB like Cleveland or Pittsburgh or Denver or Washington, a team like that, honestly, because I think the Falcons should start fresh because I like what Arthur Smith has been doing. They just don't have the talent to compete right now.
My number 15 comes from the Las Vegas Raiders. Derek Carr.
What? Oh my God. You go. What?
Issue?
Yes, I have a big issue. You'll see where I have him.
Okay. Yeah, he's been good this year, but I don't think he's above the other quarterbacks I have above him.
Do you think he's the franchise guy in Vegas?
No.
Why don't you think so?
I don't feel like he's good enough to really elevate them to a Super Bowl.
Do you think he's holding them back, or do you think he's
No.
just like in the middle where like
I feel like he's in the mid tier of starting quarterbacks.
Yeah, that's a fair assumption. That's what I thought of him 2 years ago. All right. My number 15 is Kirk Cousins from the Vikings. His stats are very misleading. He has a lot of drop picks this year, a lot of wide open throws. He's not a bad quarterback to say the least. Like he's accurate most of the time. He's precise with his throws, but that offense can be so much more. Like even like with like a younger quarterback. Like I'd love to see like a QB like Mario to take over that offense or something like that. Like it could be so much more fun to watch than with Kirk. Like Kirk's very boring. Yeah, it's a good way to put it.
My number 14 is Kirk Cousins. Yeah, very mid. I think his stats he's been better than he has been in previous years, but primetime games get to him.
Oh my God, yeah. He cannot perform in Monday night.
Do you think
He's
Minnesota
like,
would have had a better chance with him on Sunday night?
but barely.
Barely.
I don't think it would have made a big difference. Big difference. All right. My number 14 is Carson Wentz from the Indianapolis Colts. Kind of on the same tier as Kirk. Like won't elevate your team and could hurt them sometimes, but he's solid. I think people overreacted to his bad year last year in Philly. I saw people calling him not top 35, and that was way too far. I think he's done enough for them to win a playoff game or two. He's not what he used to be with Philly, but he's capable. He has a good arm. He can improvise well most of the time. And as long as he doesn't make those reckless, what are you doing type throws, they'll be fine.
My number 13 is Carson Wentz for the same reasons that you just mentioned.
My number 13 is Ryan Tannehill of the Titans. He started off the year pretty poorly, throwing a lot of picks, but as of late, with more weapons back, and I think he's going to continue to get better. He was making bad decisions with the football early on, turning it over a lot, but as of late, he's flipped the script a little bit. And he's been playing more like his 2019 and 2020 self than he did with the Dolphins. And one thing I want to say about Tannehill is he has underrated mobility. I like to call him Tanner Wheels.
For those reasons, I have him at number 12.
All right, here's where it gets interesting. 12 to 1, I'd say these are franchise quarter. Like you can count on these guys, I think. But at number 12, I have Matt Stafford of the LA Rams. He's just way too inconsistent for me. Like the highs are the highs, but the lows are the lows. And we saw that on Sunday. Like he threw a pick six, it went right to Chuck Clark, right there. Like I don't know what are you seeing, but then like in the second half, like he can be two different quarterbacks sometimes. Like 38 touchdowns, 15 picks. I think like that's indicative of like a high turnover, high like big play guy. But he takes too many risks sometimes, and like while I do fear he could hurt them a bit in the playoffs, his big play threat it cannot be ignored, and he's still a very, very good quarterback.
Yeah, I have Joe Burrow number 11. Yeah, he's that guy. He proved it over the last 2 weeks with his best two performances of his career in the two most important games of his career to this point.
Yeah, he's been phenomenal recently. My number 11 is Lamar Jackson of the Baltimore Ravens. I'm sorry, Ravens fans, and especially you wee hooping, but he's disappointed a lot this year. Like his rushing ability is still phenomenal, and I think it'll stay that way for the next few years at least, unless he suffers a catastrophic injury. But his passing ability, man, it's inconsistent at times. Like we saw that Browns game, like 4 interceptions. Like he's looked iffy this year. He's looked dicey, but like I trust him to come back at full health next year and be a top 5 QB, honestly.
For those reasons, I have Lamar at number
10. My number 10 from the Dallas Cowboys is Dak Prescott. He started off the year without like a lot of people having that high of expectations. He's playing like an MVP candidate for a while, but as of late, he's kind of slowed down. That offense has been stagnant for a bit, but he's still the franchise guy there nonetheless, and he has all the tools to be like a great quarterback that we have seen him be in the past. So for those reasons, I have him here at number 10.
My number 9, coming from the LA Rams, is Matt Stafford for the same reasons that you mentioned. I just have him a little higher.
That's fair. My number 9 quarterback coming from the Las Vegas Raiders is Derek Carr. Listen to these things. Henry Ruggs incident. John Gruden gone. Those two things alone, your team they were 5-2 at the time. I think they should be like a 7-1 team now, and they're playing for the playoffs on Sunday night. The playoffs, and like Hunter Renfrow and Zay Jones have had career seasons. Like I cannot say enough about this man. He's like, if just say they missed the playoffs, he's going to be traded to a team like Cleveland. He's going to be an MVP candidate next year. I can guarantee it. I love Derek Carr. He's my favorite player in the NFL, so it might be a little biased, but but still, if you watch him play, those big throws, he's clutch too.
My number 8, I have Russell Wilson. He's a good quarterback. I think this year was a big down year for him with his injury and the losing streak.
O-line, yeah, like coaching's been bad too. My number 8 quarterback is I have Russell Wilson also here at number 8 for the same reasons you had for the most part. But one thing I want to add is, as we saw last weekend against Houston, he still has the prettiest deep ball in football.
Last week was against Detroit.
Yeah, but in there was a game a few weeks ago. He had a nice deep ball to Tyler Lockett, and I have a feeling he'll get dealt this offseason. I don't know where, but I still have hope he can be great in the future, like he has been. So that's why I have him at 8.
My number 7, coming from the Los Angeles Chargers. This is where I'm putting Justin Herbert. He has his team in a position to make the playoffs. When you're in. Unless in the off chance they tie, they can still get in.
Yeah.
But it's a win or go home game. That's going to be an exciting game. Chargers, Raiders.
Yeah. Two very good QBs, two teams that have had losing seasons the past couple of years, and it'll be cool to see.
You go on with your number 7.
My number 7 is Tom Brady from the Buccaneers. You could have him a bit higher, but I just feel like the others, like 7 through 3, are interchangeable. Honestly, like I can't get mad. But Tom Brady, he's still great. He's still phenomenal thrower of the ball. I just feel like if you put the QBs ahead of him in his situation, I feel like they'd be a better QB than him right now. It's not a backlash against Tom Brady. He's still the GOAT, but that's where I have him right now.
Yeah, my number 6, coming from the Dallas Cowboys, is Dak Prescott for the same reasons you mentioned.
My number 6 from the Cincinnati Bengals is Joe Burrow. What he's done this year, aside from the Bears game where he threw 3 picks in September, he should be in MVP talks. Like 34-14 touchdown pick ratio. Him and Jamar Chase have an immediate connection, and he's taken this franchise from a 2-14 record in 2019 to an AFC North title in 2021 with bad coaching, shaky O-line play. It's just crazy how good this man is. Comeback player of the year too, in my opinion.
My number 5, coming from the Arizona Cardinals, Kyler Murray. He's been good this year. He was in MVP conversation for a while there. And then he had that losing streak. But still really good season from him.
I agree.
The owner of this Apple Watch has taken a hard fall. The emergency location is latitude 47.7, longitude -100.
At number 5, I also have Kyler Murray from the Cardinals. He can do it all, but he probably would be number 3 if he didn't get hurt, but he's still phenomenal in all aspects of the game. His accuracy is better than a year ago. Deep ball is as good as ever. Him and Christian Kirk have developed this underrated connection, and I'm looking forward to seeing him play in the playoffs.
My number 4 from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is Tom Brady for the same reasons you mentioned.
My number 4 from the Buffalo Bills is Josh Allen. Like when he's on, he's the best quarterback in the NFL, but like he's inconsistent. Still, we saw him go like, I think it was 11 for 26 with 3 picks last week, but he has great mobility, cannon of an arm, he can improvise, and if his decision making is on point, he's elite. Like he's elevating that team even with a poor offensive line and sometimes run game.
My number 3 is Josh Allen.
My number 3 quarterback from the LA Chargers is Justin Herbert. I knew he'd be great this year. I knew it. I really don't think he has a flaw in his game. Like a lot of for these quarterbacks from 3 to 1, I think they're on their own tier. Herbert, he's accurate. He's a great decision maker, very, very intelligent, very smart. Deep ball's insane, cannon of an arm, solid mobility. What's not to like about him?
My number 2 is Patrick Mahomes. Can we like get this through?
I have 1 and 2 flip flopped.
Rodgers and
Yeah. But I'll just say my reasoning and then you can say yours. I just think they're basically tied in my opinion, but like I just think Mahomes he's a bit more mobile and like he has a bit better arm than Rodgers, but they're both insane generational type quarterbacks that we'll never see again probably.
my number 1's Aaron Rodgers. He's the best.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for listening to that list. And now we're going to move on to the next portion of the podcast. We're going to rank every NFL team based on their future outlook. We're talking 3 to 5 years in the future. We're going to rank all 32 teams. I'm about to share my screen. And here we go. All right. Let me get a.
I enabled it.
Okay. Yeah, just gotta pull up the tier list thing. Teams tier list. All right, here we go. All right, so we have S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, and D tier. These are all for futures, not current. Let's see if we agree, disagree. Where do you have Tennessee?
I'd have him at a B.
I'd have them at a B as well. I think these next few years they can still contend, but after that, I think their window's starting to close. Tannehill's aging. We don't know about how Derrick Henry's going to come back, but they're still a great team right now, and that's why I have them at B. Miami.
If there's any year to make a Super Bowl run, this is it.
Yeah, this year, next year, in my opinion. I'd have Miami in B tier too. What about you?
I personally have him at A tier.
Chris Grier is not a great GM, my opinion. Like his 2020 draft, some of his free agent signings, they look bad right now, and I can't really trust him and Brian Flores in the big games to like, as of right now at least.
You think about it, week 17 last year, week 16 this year.
Yeah, it kind of concerns me. So I'm gonna put them in like high tier.
No, excuse me, the week last week this year.
Yeah. I'll put them in high tier B for now. What about Cleveland?
B.
Yeah, I'd put them in B too. They're above average. They have an above average outlook. Like they have a great O-line, great run game, great defense. But the coaching, even Stefanski's been a question mark this year, and the quarterback position is a question mark. What do you think about Jacksonville?
B.
D?
I know they have a lot of young talent. I just don't trust Trent Baalke's a terrible GM. If you can tell by his time in San Francisco.
Oh yeah, he was awful there. Trent Baalke, terrible ownership. Shad Khan is downright atrocious. And I heard today, I don't know how credible the source was, but they're interested in bringing in Bill O'Brien as head coach. No, but just be funny. All right, this may shock a lot of people, but I'm going to have Detroit in A tier.
I agree.
Dan Campbell biting kneecaps off. That the Lions are going to be turned around really, really soon. I see 6 to 8 wins next year. In 2023, I see them as a playoff team. Once Rodgers leaves or retires, I think they're going to run the North for a little while, actually. Minnesota, would you say C?
See, yeah.
C, yeah, they see. They always have so much talent, yet they can't put it together.
Yeah.
You know what the Vikings remind me of a lot? The New York Mets of baseball. They're like the New York Mets football. All right, Tampa Bay. This is kind of up in the air, but where do you have them?
I have him at B. We don't know how many years Brady has left, but they still have a nice young group.
Yeah, but we saw that like Jameis Winston, like he kind of held them back when he was there. So I think they can still be a good team post Brady if they get like a Derek Carr guy, or if they draft someone like Malik Willis to sit a few years. And I believe this team can be special in a few years. So I'm going to put them in A, the Niners.
We've been talking about the 49ers and potential Super Bowl contender for years.
Would you have them in A?
I personally have him at B because I think Jimmy's that guy, and I think that Lance needs some time.
I think 1 year for Lance is good. Like we saw Mahomes was very, very raw. He came out and shined. So I'll have them in low end A for now. Falcons, you can agree, D, right?
Yes, D.
They're going nowhere. Kyle Pitts and Ridley only building blocks on offense, in my opinion. Other than AJ Terrell, they really have no one to write home about on defense. Now, you're going to be shocked by this, but I'm going to put the Ravens in C.
I personally would put him at B, but I'm not mad at you for putting him at C.
I just think they should kind of retool these next couple of years. Like I obviously still keep Lamar and Harbaugh, but like kind of retool that defense. I'd get rid of Greg Roman for sure. And like I don't think they'll be a very good team next year, but I still think that offense can be prolific. What do you think about Chicago?
C.
I'll put them in C as well. Yeah. I just don't trust your ownership to like get all the pieces right, even with Fields. Like, I love Fields, and I really hope the kid can succeed. But if there's one QB in this draft class, first round, that I think will most likely be a bust is Fields, just because that ownership, Ryan Pace scares me a little bit. The O-line still scares me. Bengals, where do you have them?
Hey. Hey.
Yeah, I'd have them A too. Ownership still isn't great, and the coaching isn't either. But the defense is massively improved, and they should draft a young corner with their first round this year, maybe like a Trent McDuffie or Ahmad Gardner if he falls to them. They're set for a long time to come with Burrow, Chase, Nixon, Higgins, Boyd. Dallas, I'm going to put them in B.
I agree with that.
You never know what you're going to get from Jerry Jones and company. Mike McCarthy, I don't think he's a Super Bowl winning coach, even though he did win one, but they're a good team, good offense, good defense. So I can't really complain. Yep. Do you agree?
Indianapolis. Oh, we're on the Texans. Excuse me.
Do you agree with me?
Yeah, I'd personally put him at C.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't think Coley's been that bad, honestly. What about the Colts?
Colts.
I'd have them A.
All right, we'll put them at A.
Yeah. If Wentz works out, they're good for the long run. If not, they have all the assets they can trade for a top tier quarterback.
I personally have the Rams at a C tier future.
Yeah, because like these next 2 years are looking really good, but after that, like, who do they like? It's gonna get interesting. All right. In my opinion, this is the first S tier team, the LA Chargers. Would you agree with this?
I would.
Justin Herbert, he's insane. Eckler, like Staley's gonna only get better. The O line's only gonna get better. They'll fix up the D this offseason. I think they're gonna be fine. Chiefs, no explanation needed.
I see
Actually-
the Chiefs becoming the 2020s version of the Seattle Seahawks.
Actually, I'm gonna put them in A just because of that Mahomes contract and like we've seen their defense over the last few years be inconsistent at times, but they're still phenomenal outlook.
Yeah, like I was saying, I think the Chiefs become the 2020s version of the Seahawks.
That's fair. Without the Legion of Boom, in my opinion.
Yes. Instead of
Uh,
Legion, a boom, they have that
Offense.
explosive offense.
Where do you have New Orleans?
C.
I'd have them below tier B, high tier C. I trust that front office a lot, but they're in cap hell and like a lot of aging players. I'm gonna put the Giants in D tier. Like,
I agree.
yep. Philadelphia, I'm gonna put them in A tier
I personally would put them high in B, but I'm okay with you putting them in
because 3 first-round picks and a playoff team, like if they add to the D a little bit, I think they could even go in S, but right now they're A. Pittsburgh, I'm gonna go C.
A. I personally would
I
put them in
like-
D.
D?
D. I personally would.
Yeah, I can see that. I like Mike Tomlin, but I don't think without I just think something's coming to an end there. Like obviously Big Ben's career, but I feel like they're starting to collapse a bit. Denver, it all depends on the quarterback situation. What do you think?
I personally would put them at C right now, but I might change that after the draft.
Yeah. C, Green Bay. If we're talking long-term future, I'm gonna put them at D. What about you?
I personally would put them at C, but I'm cool with D.
Carolina, I'm gonna go low tier C, maybe high end D.
Let's put them at D.
D, yeah. Vegas,
Raiders, I put them at B.
I'm gonna go high tier C.
Football team, I'll put at B.
Yep. Arizona, I'm gonna go S.
S.
S. Yep.
I personally would put them at high tier A.
Yeah. Buffalo, they have a really good future too. I'm gonna go A. Seattle D. The Jets, I'll say B.
I agree.
Say B. In New England, I'm gonna go low tier A. All right. That will conclude today's episode of this podcast. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share. And thank you everyone for watching.